Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. Let us continue reading the glories of Srimad Gaur Govinda, Swāmī Mahārāj. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swāmī iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Vishnupad Paramhams Parivrajakacharya Shtottar Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Mahārāj Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Śrīvāsādi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Śrīvāsādi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So last time we read how in Bhuvaneshwar once Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was invited for prasadam at a devotee's house where there was Upanayan Samskar of their son, and two meals were prepared, one for the general public and one for Mahārāj, and then two sabjis were given from the general cooking also, and Mahārāj put it aside. When asked why, Mahārāj said, "This is not cooked with love." You could recognize. So that's where we stopped. Let us continue reading. I'm reading from this book by His Grace Madhavananda Prabhu, When Good Fortune Arises. It's almost like a biography of Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj. Burden of management. Now, Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj is a Diksha Guru in ISKCON, and he is a prominent leader, traveling preacher in ISKCON. Let's see what happens. And we also saw how last time Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj had that problem in the foot where he had to undergo surgery, after which he could not walk. And doctors told him to increase his diet, increase his sleep. So let's see what happens next. In spite of his physical difficulty, Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj continued his services and preaching with the same intensity. This is a very important lesson for all of us, my dear friends. When we are going through a illness, or we go through some disease or some setback, physical setback, emotional setback, the important principle is that our Krishna consciousness should continue. Our services to Guru and Krishna must continue. Being in Maya means to reduce or give up one's service to Guru and Krishna. As long as with proper consciousness we are continuing our service to Guru and Krishna, we are properly situated. So setbacks will come. Many times there are health problems, there may be a death in the family, and it is natural to grieve, it is natural to feel sad. But the difference between a devotee of Krishna and someone who is not is that when a devotee of Krishna goes through grief, goes through setbacks, goes through reversals in life, the devotee increases remembrance of Krishna, increases service to Krishna. So that is most important. See, here it is said, in spite of his physical difficulty, Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj had pain in his leg, he had to undergo surgery, he could not walk, he had to use a walking stick. and also required support from other devotees to help him work. In spite of his physical difficulty, Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj continued his services and preaching with the same intensity. In 1987, when senior devotees requested him, Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj agreed to become a member of ISKCON's governing body commission, GBC. Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj is a Diksha Guru, now he has become a GBC. And he was given joint charge of the society's projects in Odisha. He became the GBC for Odisha. Although he accepted the position of GBC, he considered it to be a burden of love. A sadhu, genuine sadhu, always wants to take a humble position. Not a position where we have to tell people what to do. I remember once I was sitting with a leader, and there were many devotees who were aspiring for initiation. And my service was to write letters of recommendation for initiation. So I was sitting with one leader, and we were going through each name. And my service was to decide whether this devotee should be recommended or should not be recommended for initiation. So I had to think, is this devotee qualified? Is this devotee sincere? Is this devotee chanting? So in short, I had to find faults. Is there anything that would disqualify this devotee? And to do those chintan, dosh darshan, fault finding, can I find some fault in this devotee that will disqualify? Because it is my service to the Guru Mahārāj, for whom I'm recommending, to make sure I recommend qualified candidates. So it is my service to our Guru Varga, but it is also a service to the devotees. I am also a servant of the devotees. And if I say that somebody should not be recommended, then that devotee will be discouraged. Oh, now I have to wait for another 1 or 2 years. So discouraging. So it's a very difficult situation. So then the leader was asking me, so how is this devotee? Any red flags in the behavior of this devotee? Is this devotee coming regularly? Now, many times devotees don't come regularly to the temple. They come for festivals, or they come when some big speaker is giving class, some famous speaker is giving class. They don't come. Is this devotee giving donations? Is this devotee contributing? Because see, as grihasthas, it is our sacred duty to give financial donations to ISKCON. Tell me, if we grihasthas don't give, who is going to give? Are the brahmacharis going to give? Are the vanaprasthas going to give, or sannyasis? They have no source of income. The only ashram that earns money is the grihastha ashram. Other 3 ashrams don't earn money. So although it may seem inappropriate when a devotee says, Prabhuji, I want to get initiated. Can you recommend me? It is awkward and probably even inappropriate for me to ask. So Prabhuji, are you chanting 16 rounds? Yes. Following 400 principles? Yes. Have you taken shelter of Guru Mahārāj? Yes. Are you coming to temple regularly? Yes. Are you contributing to the temple? Because they may look at me as if, oh, are you judging me based on how much money I'm giving? So is initiation for sale? No, initiation is not for sale. But please try to understand me. As grihasthas, it is our sacred duty. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 3 things should never be given up. What are they? 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. 3 things should never be given up, Krishna says. Yajna, tapasya, means sacrifice, austerity. And third thing is dan, charity. We can never stop these activities. We have to give in charity. And as grihasthas, it is our sacred responsibility to support the mission of Srila Prabhupada by giving financial, yes, by giving money. Let me put it straight. We have to give our money. There are no 2 ways about it. So it is important that we contribute in every way. We should contribute money based on our earning. I know one devotee family here in Atlanta. Mataji is a homemaker. They have 2 children. And the husband, Prabhuji, he works in a grocery store as he puts things on the on the shelves, that kind of job. Very simple job. He gets the minimum wages in America. Minimum wages, $10 an hour. And 2 children, wife, and not very high income, very, very low income. But that devotee is a monthly member to ISKCON Atlanta. He gives a fixed amount of money every month. Whatever it is, $101, $108, but every month he contributes. And he is there contributing his time and energy. He's there cleaning the floors after every Sunday feast, cooking in the kitchen, helping cut vegetables. He's there for every festival. And he sits in every katha, every Sunday feast lecture. He sits there with a straight back, with the whole family, enthusiastic, hearing Hari Katha. So such a devotee, if you look at the quantity of donations financially, it's very small. But this devotee is doing much more than many other devotees because he is doing to the best of his capacity based on his income. And more importantly, he is giving all his time and energy every Sunday, regardless of who is the speaker for the Sunday feast lecture. Every Sunday, this family is there enthusiastically and gratefully. They are there serving. Such a wonderful family. So when this devotee was asked me that can me and my wife get second initiation, they had not done Bhakti Shastri, but still I strongly recommended. I said, Guru Maharaj, you have to give mercy to these devotees because they are such wonderful family. They have all qualities of Brahmana. They may not be Pandits, very well learned. They may not have done Bhakti Shastri, but they are very wonderful. Mataji wants to cook in the kitchen for Radha Madan Mohan, and she cannot cook unless she is Brahman initiated. Prabhuji also wants to assist. So please give them. And they got without Bhakti Shastri. So these exceptions can be made if there are good qualities. So sadhu doesn't want prominent position, wants to always stay in the background and do seva. So he considered it a burden. Many times, Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj mentioned to devotees in his private discussions that he had spoken to Srila Prabhupada in Bhuvaneshwar in 1977. And now listen carefully. Prabhupada had instructed him to take on a leading role. You have to become a leader, Prabhupada told Gaur Govind Maharaj. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj said that he gently protested his spiritual master's instruction and said, but Prabhupada, I only want to be the tail. I only want to be the tail. And Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj said that Prabhupada replied, but I want you to be the head. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj said in an interview, I was selected as a member of GBC body in 1987. Exactly 10 years after Srila Prabhupada entered Nitya Leela. At first, I was not willing. I was not willing at all to become a member of GBC. That year, there was a 50-man GBC committee, and there was some reshuffling of the GBC body. Some GBC members resigned, and some new ones were recruited. That body of 50 GBC men gave some names to the GBC body for recruiting new devotees into the GBC. And my name was one of them, though I was unwilling. Then the GBC body accepted some names and rejected some names. So some names are presented to the GBC. GBC rejected some names and accepted some names. I was thinking that I should be rejected. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj, I was hoping that I should be rejected. And that will be good fortune for me. But I was selected. It was very bad fortune for me. Yes, what to do? All right. So since that year, 1987, I have been attending these GBC meetings, Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj said. Further, it is described, after Srila Prabhupada left this world in 1977, 11 of Srila Prabhupada's senior disciples had accepted the post of Guru. And they had begun accepting disciples of their own. In the late 1980s, a number of these gurus had experienced a variety of unfortunate difficulties and had left their posts, some of them in disgrace. Hare Krishna. Now this left hundreds and thousands of devotees hurt and disappointed, because they were disciples and their gurus had spiritual difficulties and left. So these disciples, they were disappointed, and their faith in ISKCON leadership had become greatly diminished. For many in that situation, Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj and his preaching rejuvenated their spiritual lives. So at a very critical point in ISKCON history, where the faith of hundreds and thousands of devotees was diminishing, at that time Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj was a great beacon of hope for everyone. So he was a pure devotee. As a result, many of those devotees took shelter of him as their Shiksha Guru. You see, we need a Shiksha Guru in our life to guide us. So when many of these devotees, they saw that their spiritual masters, their Diksha Gurus had left, some of them in disgrace, they were very much heartbroken. And at that time, you need a living Guru in your life. Srila Prabhupada is the Shiksha Guru for the whole of ISKCON. Most important Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada, for all of us. However, we also need a living Guru to guide us, to answer our questions, to chastise us. So they took shelter of Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj. Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj said, "You are Prabhupada's men." Prabhupada said that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had sent men to him. Similarly, my Guru Mahārāj is sending you to me. One who needs help, my business is to help him. Yes, my Guru Mahārāj Srila Prabhupada has said that thing to me. So I must do it. It is my duty. One who is really a needy person, he needs help. So I must render help the best I can. Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj, in the mood of a servant, he gave shelter and guidance to many devotees who were losing their faith in ISKCON. Sadhu tradition. Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj, in 1987, he visited England. So Gudakesh Prabhu writes, in the mid-80s, I was the servant of His Holiness Shivram Swāmī Mahārāj. Shivram Swāmī Mahārāj, Srila Shivram Swāmī Mahārāj is one of our Guru Varga. One day, His Holiness Shivram Swāmī Mahārāj told me that an important guest was coming and we should move out of his room and make way for him. I knew that it was someone senior, but I had no idea exactly who it was. The guest arrived. He was an elderly Indian sannyasi. It took me by surprise, as it wasn't a common sight at that time to see Indian sannyasis in ISKCON. Initially, he spoke very little and was very meek and humble. He had an aura of simplicity about him. Both senior and junior devotees quite excitedly gathered to hear his class. So His Holiness Shivram Swāmī Mahārāj arranged for Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj to give a class. And junior and senior devotees, they assembled there to hear. No one really knew him except for the fact that he was on a world tour and that he was young, and that he was not young. Because most of the other ISKCON sannyasis, they were very young. They were in their 20s and 30s. But Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj joined when he was in his late 40s. You see? So he was way older than most of the other ISKCON devotees. So he was not young like other sannyasis. So Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj began the class by reciting some long prayers. This was Srila Gaur Govinda Mahārāj's trademark. He had a different Mangalacharan. He had a Mangalacharan of his own. Many verses we had not even heard. Very sweet. So he started with some long verses, long prayers. In no time at all, we were all drawn in by his classes. He was confident, he was clear, and very philosophical. I remember being overwhelmed by the content and by his delivery, which all came together in a triumphant finale of Sarva Dharman Parityajya. So Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj concluded his lecture that day with the verse Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Many of us were left speechless. One of my seniors remarked, that was like being in the presence of Srila Prabhupada again. After hearing the class of Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj, senior devotees thought it is like again being in the presence of Srila Prabhupada. Such potency. By this time, we knew that this was Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī from Odisha, and that he was highly learned, to say the least. As we did for all, now listen, this is very funny. As we did for all visiting senior devotees, we served prasadam to Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj in what had previously been Bhagwan Dasa's dining room, with the gold-plated cutlery and napkins. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj respected the prasadam in a very traditional way. At the end of the meal, as was our custom, I took a big jug of water and a bowl and offered it to Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj to rinse his hand. We call it finger bowl. Or you just wash your hands right there on the dining table. Somebody wash your hands. So he went there. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj looked at me and then took large handfuls of water. He took water in his hand, took a handful of water and rinsed his mouth several times. So he rinsed his mouth and spat into that bowl. Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj, in the Indian style. हम गुल्ला करते हैं ना खाना खाने के बाद, तो ऐसा. I stepped back, amazed. In such situations previously, everyone else had been so prim and proper, rinsing their fingertips in the Western style. I sensed at the time that Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj was very cultured, but in a cultural tradition that I was not familiar with, the sadhu tradition. This is a sadhu tradition. Then this devotee, Gudakesh Prabhu, he says, following the departure of Bhagwan Das, so Bhagwan Prabhu, senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he was one of the gurus in ISKCON, but then he left. He did a lot of services for Srila Prabhupada, and for that we are very respectful and very grateful to Bhagwan Prabhu. Following the departure of Bhagwan Das, I was greatly disillusioned and felt a need to understand the subject of guru and disciple in great depth. Gudakesh Prabhu is saying this. I prayed a lot and I studied Srila Prabhupada's books and letters like never before because I wanted to understand about Guru Tattva. I remembered that Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj was very learned and I wished that he would come to UK again. So this was 1987. In 1989, I left the UK for India. So 2 years afterwards, this Gudakesh Prabhu, he left UK and went to India. I went by train to Bhubaneswar. As I arrived at the temple, I immediately went to meet Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. He simply remarked, why did it take you so long to come here? You should have come before. So Gaur Govinda Maharaj knew that he was looking for a Shiksha Guru, looking for answers. The Bhubaneswar temple was very much a construction site in 1989. It was just a construction site. However, there were some guest rooms and I shared a room with my friend Parabrahma Das. I felt guilty for not paying any rent or performing any practical service. But Maharaj advised that I should study and attend the classes. And that was the sum and substance of my stay. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj told Gudakesh Prabhu to do what is most important, to attend the classes and to study Srila Prabhupada's books. Each morning, we gathered for Srimad Bhagavatam class. Remember, we saw the schedule of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, how he would give class from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. 3.5 ghante. He would speak Bhagavatam every morning. Each morning, we gathered for Bhagavatam class. And each evening for Bhagavad Gita class. Every evening, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj gave a Bhagavad Gita class. The Vyasasan and a carpet were just put out amidst the cement dust on the lower floor of the future temple. Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Maharaj would sit for hours on end like a great narrator or poet, delivering endless Krishna Katha. Endless Krishna Katha. Namagane Sada Ruchi. Endless Krishna Katha. I was impressed by his little pile of school notebooks wherein he kept all his notes. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to write notes in small notebooks, and he used to sit with those notebooks and give class. I was impressed by this pile of school notebooks wherein he kept all his notes and meticulously stacked and wrapped them in a cloth. They would be carefully unwrapped for the class, and then Mahārāj would delicately finger through the pages until he found the notes that he wanted to refer to. It is an act of respect to keep one's religious spiritual books wrapped in a cloth. See, in India, we have seen how they wrap it in a red cloth. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's an act of respect. Like we wrap Tulsi Maharani in a cloth, like that. So it's an act of respect. So Mahārāj would carefully unwrap the book, delicately finger through the pages until he found what he wanted. I remember thinking how I tended to trash everything and how he had kept such simple notebooks so nicely over many years. Śrīla Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj's disciples were very kind to me, and I quickly learned that some of them had been his students when he was a school teacher. Remember, Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj's Brajbandhu was a school teacher, and many of his students in the school later on became his initiated disciples when he came back to Bhuvaneshwar. So they were like family, and Mahārāj was clearly their spiritual father. Their faith was implicit. Śrīla Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj spent his days inside a very small hut and ate only dalma, a traditional dish of Odisha consisting of dal and vegetables. I wondered how he could stay in such a confined space, that small room, all day, and what exactly he was doing. I was wondering what he was doing. When Śrīla Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj emerged in the evenings to give the Bhagavad Gita class, it became clear what he was doing. He was translating Śrīla Prabhupada's books into Odia, all day sitting in that small room. He was translating Śrīla Prabhupada's books all day. Nimai Pandit Das, Jagatpati Das, and Deenbandhu Das came from Australia to Bhuvaneshwar. These are three devotees. They were very impressed by Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj's purity when Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj traveled around the world preaching. So they came to Bhuvaneshwar from Australia. Nimai Pandit Das, Jagatpati Das, and Deenbandhu Das. They came from Australia to Bhuvaneshwar, where they were initiated by Śrīla Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj. Mahārāj gave them initiation. During that period, Mahārāj was unable to walk due to his illness, his problem with the foot, and was being carried every day to Guru Puja and class. Nimai Pandit Das writes, even though Śrīla Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was not able to walk, he was always in bliss. Always in bliss. And everyone surrounding Mahārāj was blissful due to his association. This is a very important point, my dear friends. Whenever we associate with the advanced devotee, we come out feeling inspired and enthused in our bhakti. You notice this. When you meet a very great soul, in that association, we come out very inspired and very encouraged. So Mahārāj was always blissful, and everyone in his association was blissful. Just after our arrival in Bhuvaneshwar, Mahārāj began to walk with the help of two devotees. He had one devotee holding on to each arm while he walked with a stick. It was during that visit where the three of us took initiation. When we came into his room to receive the Gayatri Mantra, he placed the thread on our shoulder. And the three new initiates read the Gayatri Mantra. Then Mahārāj asked, are there any questions? So these three Australian boys came, took initiation, and Mahārāj asked, are there any questions? Nimai Pandit Das asked, Guru Mahārāj, it is said that one cannot dictate to the Guru. One cannot tell the Guru what to do. Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj replied, yes, that is correct. Nimai Pandit Das said, well, Guru Mahārāj, when your legs get better, then you must come to Australia. So he said, one cannot dictate to the Guru what to do. Mahārāj said, yes, you cannot dictate. But out of love, he said, when your legs are better, you must come to Australia. Śrīla Govinda Mahārāj laughed. Now listen. Anuradha Dasi, Anuradha Mataji writes, in early 1990, this is the year 1990, my husband, Jagadatma Prabhu, was playing a lecture tape that someone had given him of Śrīla Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj speaking in Bhuvaneshwar. I was hanging wet clothes on the line in the veranda. She had washed clothes, she was hanging the wet clothes on the veranda and could hear the cassette playing in the bedroom. The accent was difficult for me to understand, but he had such powerful, jolly laughter. I thought any guru who can laugh like that must be bona fide. We were very interested to hear his talks because our guru had fallen down a few years prior to that. And the Australian yatra was in turmoil. So there was another guru in Australia who fell down. And these devotees were in turmoil. This is happening in Australia. Like others, I thought to just take shelter of Srila Prabhupada. So Gurudev has fallen down. So what do now? Just take shelter of Prabhupada. However, after thoroughly reading Srila Prabhupada's books, it was clear to me that I needed a living bona fide spiritual master. This is important, my dear friends. Only a living bona fide spiritual master can chastise us. Isn't it? Only a bona fide living spiritual master can hear our questions and answer them directly in real time. So we need a living guru. Also, one may say, okay, my guru is Srila Prabhupada. Have you ever met Prabhupada? No. Have you spoken to Prabhupada? No. My guru is Prabhupada. Okay, you say your guru is Prabhupada, but has Prabhupada accepted you as a disciple? We don't know. I may say that Srila Rupa Goswami is my guru. I am a disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami. Okay, my guru is Rupa Goswami, but what is the proof that Srila Rupa Goswami has accepted me as a disciple? It is a two-way relationship. Therefore, we need a living guru. We accept that Vaishnava Acharya as a guru, and the guru accepts us as a disciple, gives us a name, gives us a japamala. That is guru, living guru. We all need that. That connects us to the parampara. So after reading Prabhupada's book, it became clear to me that I need a living bona fide spiritual master from whom I could inquire and receive personal guidance. In an issue of ISKCON Journal, we had read that disciples of fallen gurus were encouraged to travel and seek out a bona fide guru and take re-initiation. Now, all of you must have studied this in ISKCON Disciple Course. This is part of the ISKCON Disciple Course syllabus. It's very unfortunate, but if somehow the Diksha Guru falls down, then we have to take re-initiation from a bona fide guru. So Anuradha Mataji is saying, I was crying and I was thinking, I am a mother of 6 children and I am pregnant with a 7th child. And I have no money to travel. How is it possible to travel and find a spiritual master? After witnessing many devotees going to other Vaishnava groups outside of ISKCON, this happened. When we were having problems, then devotees went and took shelter or re-initiation from gurus outside ISKCON. So many devotees going to other Vaishnava groups outside of ISKCON, I prayed to Srila Prabhupada. So this Anuradha Mataji, she was very sincere. She prayed to Srila Prabhupada, please Srila Prabhupada, send me a bona fide guru. Please keep me in your ISKCON, in your family. I don't want to go outside ISKCON. So sweet. Now, Anuradha Mataji's husband is Jagadatma Prabhu. He writes, the devotees who organized the tour had visited Bhuvaneshwar and spent some time with Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj. They had all been initiated by the former zonal guru in Australia, and when that guru left ISKCON, their faith had been crushed. Later, when they met Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj, it was a revelation for them. They were very excited and enthusiastic. When they came back to Australia, they were eager to promote Srila Gour Govinda Mahārāj. They told me that they were thinking of approaching the local temple president and asking him to invite Srila Gour Govinda Mahārāj to Australia. They asked me what I thought about the idea. I told them not to do it because I knew that previously the disciples of one prominent guru wanted to bring their spiritual master to Australia, but the leaders would not allow it. That guru was known for pushing book distribution. And at that time in Australia, the temple management was having the devotees only sell CDs, not books, not Prabhupada books, only CDs. And other paraphernalia to collect lots of money. Hare Krishna. To collect lots of money. So I told them, don't ask for permission. Just bring Śrīla Gaur Govind Mahārāj to Australia. Just bring him. Don't ask permission from the temple. Then in 1986, so this is the history, the local guru had some spiritual problems and went away. This is Australia. The zonal guru for Australia in 1986 fell down. This was 4 years early because we are talking about 1990. We are talking about 1990, but in 1986 the guru fell. A lot of things had happened and many devotees left ISKCON. Many devotees left ISKCON. Some of the temples were having financial difficulties. Naturally, no devotees, no funds. Financial difficulties were there. So the leaders had become extremely conservative. The changes in the temple were radical. Everyone started working jobs outside. To get money, they were encouraged to work outside, take up jobs outside. It was no longer anything like the Indian culture. So when these two devotees suggested to me that they seek invitations from the leaders to bring an Indian Swāmī, I said, forget it, just bring him. Similarly, they asked the opinions of few other devotees like Lagudi Prabhu. Remember who is Lagudi Prabhu? The one who took care of Śrīla Gaur Govind Mahārāj in 1979 when Mahārāj went into Samadhi. 4 months. So they asked Lagudi Prabhu what to do. Lagudi Prabhu jumped up and said, bring him, just bring him to Australia. Hare Krishna. So finally, Śrīla Gaur Govind Mahārāj was brought to Australia, to a city called Brisbane. When Śrīla Gaur Govind Swāmī Mahārāj first came to Brisbane, since he was not officially invited by the ISKCON temple, he was staying at a devotee's house and he used to come to the temple. Now, Jagadatma Prabhu, he writes, as soon as Śrīla Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj came to the Brisbane temple, he spoke very strongly. Mr. Temple President, what are you doing here? Why are you not training these devotees properly? He chastised the temple president. Because Maharaj could see what was going on. From Brisbane, Śrīla Gaur Govind Swāmī Mahārāj went by car to the ISKCON New Govardhan farm near Murvillumba. There, a group of devotees were waiting to have a private darshan with Śrīla Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj. These devotees were former ISKCON members who had left ISKCON to take shelter of a god brother of Śrīla Prabhupada's. Their meeting lasted several hours, following which everyone went to the main temple room for Aarti and to hear an evening class from Śrīla Gaur Govind Mahārāj. Now, Nimai Pandit Prabhu writes what happened in that class in New Govardhan farm in Australia. The first night's class was unbelievable. After the lecture, everyone followed Śrīla Gaur Govind Swāmī Mahārāj out to his car. Lagudi Prabhu was jumping so high that everyone thought he was going to jump over Maharaj's car. At that time, he was jumping so high. Lagudi Prabhu was yelling, nothing like this has been heard before. Nothing like this has been heard before. As Śrīla Gaur Govind Mahārāj was walking to the car, all the devotees were diving at the ground where Maharaj had just stepped, rubbing their heads in the dust. Bhakta pada dhuli, ara bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesha tina mahabal. They were rubbing their heads in the dust where Śrīla Gaur Govind Mahārāj had just stepped. The place went mad. This is the effect of a pure devotee. Jagadatma Prabhu further writes, Śrīla Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj came and began stressing the importance of being completely Krishna conscious, surrendering to Krishna completely and developing love for Krishna, Krishna Prem. Directly and indirectly, Śrīla Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was saying that your working very hard is not Krishna consciousness. Going out and working jobs to earn money, that is not Krishna consciousness. You are working hard like an ass, but you are not becoming Krishna conscious. Śrīla Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was stressing that being Krishna conscious meant getting a taste for Krishna Katha. You have to get a taste for Krishna Katha. Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Ridantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhit satam. Should get taste for hearing. Sushrusho sadhadanasya vasudeva katha ruchi. Swanmahat seva vipra punya tirtha niveshana. Unless we serve a pure devotee, Mahat Seva, we cannot get ruchi in hearing. This was disturbing for some of the management leaders. Why? Because Srila Govinda Maharaj was saying, don't just work outside jobs and earn money. That is not direct Krishna consciousness. You must chant and hear Krishna Katha and develop taste for hearing and chanting. You should develop love for Krishna. You should surrender to Krishna completely. Become Krishna conscious. But the leaders thought that this type of preaching might cause some rebelliousness in the devotees, who might then not be inclined to go out to collect money. They felt, we need the money for our preaching. While Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj would stress, what is it that you are preaching? You are just flattering people to get some money out of them. See, this sadhu vakya. He could see the truth. Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was pointing out flaws in the management, but in a humorous way, to make it clear to us that we were in a fallen condition and we needed to get serious about Krishna consciousness. Unless and until one is reading Srila Prabhupada's books, one is getting absorbed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Instruction. Unless and until we are getting absorbed in these 5 books, we are getting absorbed in chanting and doing Harinam Sankirtan, our preaching will not be effective. What is preaching, my dear friends? What is prachar? Prachar is a byproduct of what is happening inside, achar. Whatever spiritual experiences we have gained, when we share it out of love for others, out of compassion for others, that is called prachar. But unless and until we have something within, how can we give it? We can only give what we have, na? If someone is kangal and you ask him for charity, someone is completely bankrupt, penniless, pauper, and you ask him for charity, can he give? No. But if someone is a multi-millionaire and you ask him for charity, he can give. So we have to gain from the parampara and then give. Not that I am a giver. Now I have become guru. Now I have become a leader. I have become a speaker. Now I will only give. Within few days, you will be finished. You will be exhausted. Sab khatam ho jayega. You have to keep receiving. If you want to give, you have to keep receiving from the parampara. Receive. And when you digest it inside, give it. But you have to keep receiving also. So, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was stressing that if you are completely Krishna conscious, then you will be able to properly preach. Unless we are Krishna conscious, we cannot preach about Krishna consciousness. He was exposing all these things and the managers were getting very disturbed. Hare Krishna. But some devotees heard what he said and thought, this is true. This is a sadhu speaking. Finally, someone is speaking the truth. This sadhu will help us. So they started to follow Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj. In those days, everyone else who visited would just flatter the temple presidents so they could get some facility to speak, invitations, and do kirtan. Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was a stark contrast to that. Srila Gour Govinda Mahārāj was not like that. He was not there to please some leaders. He was there to speak pure Krishna Katha. What will actually benefit the devotees? That is a sadhu. It is said, please listen carefully, this is there in Mahārāta, that a politician has butter tongue, very soft tongue, naunit. Their tongue is like soft, the politicians, when they speak. They give all these promises, they empathize. But their heart is like a razor. They will not hesitate to cut someone for their personal profit. So a politician has a tongue like butter and a heart like a sharp razor. But a sadhu Vaishnava has a tongue like a sharp razor, but heart soft like butter. Mahārāj says this. Śrīla Gour Govinda, tongue is very sharp, but heart is very soft like butter. So immediately there were some people who wanted to follow Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj, and immediately there were some who had a problem with Mahārāj. Hare Krishna. This will always be there. Some people will appreciate us, some people will dislike us. This is called the world of duality. Always there will be happiness, there will be sorrow. There will be honor, there will be dishonor. Many devotees were disturbed so much by Śrīla Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj. Many devotees were disturbed not so much by Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj, but they were disturbed by something else. Can anybody guess? They were not so much upset with Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj, but they were disturbed because of something else. This is a very, very important lesson for all of us. They were disturbed by the disciples of Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj. Let us see why. Very, very important point. Many devotees were disturbed, not so much by Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj, but by the followers of Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj. Because some of these followers immediately started speaking boldly, saying things like, "You are being cheated." They were repeating in their own way what they had heard from Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj. Śrīla Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj was telling them that you have to be very serious about Krishna consciousness, or you are going to be cheated out of real Krishna consciousness, and you will not be able to develop love for Krishna. As soon as some of the fanatical followers of Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj, there will always be fanatical devotees, my dear friends. Some devotees are fanatical. When some of the fanatical followers of Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj heard this, they started waving flags and yelling and carrying on. Some of them were even going to disciples of other gurus and telling them, "You have been cheated. You have been cheated. You have not accepted a real guru. Your guru is not a real guru. Come and hear from Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj. You should accept Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj as your guru. Then you will get real benefit from it." What is this? This is not proper. Is this a service to Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj? No. It is a disservice to Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj. What is the mood of Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj? That we have to understand. What is the mood of one's Gurudev? The mood of all our Guru Varga, all the disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada, is to keep ISKCON as a united family. Because in unity, there is strength, and in unity, there is empowerment from Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada will empower us to the degree we are united. And if we start preaching fanatically like this, finding faults with other gurus, finding fault with other devotees, and thinking I am better than you because my guru is more advanced than your guru, this is the most sick mentality. Very, very bad mentality. We should never think like that. This is called guru-gurupism. We should not do. The combination of Śrīla Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj's bold preaching and the behavior of some of his enthusiastic, fanatic young followers disturbed the minds of some of the leaders in Australia. Unsure how to deal with Śrīla Gour Govinda Mahārāj, they finally decided to ban him. Hare Krishna. This is called disservice to one's guru. As disciples, we have to be very careful and cautious about our behavior. With our behavior, with our speech, we should not create problems for our Gurudev. When Srila Gour Govind Maharaj heard this, there's a lecture on YouTube. You can hear that. Bhuvaneshwar arrival lecture Srila Gour Govind Maharaj after he came from GBC meetings. Maharaj said that all of you over-enthusiastic, fanatic disciples, some of them, this was done by few disciples. Most of the disciples of Srila Gour Govind Maharaj, glorious. All of them are glorious, but some of them acted over-enthusiastic and fanatic, just few of them. And that caused so much drama, so much problem for their Gurudev. Srila Gour Govind Maharaj said, you are my children, to the fanatic followers. You are my children. Why are you passing stool and urine on my lap? Please don't do that. You're simply passing stool and urine on me. You're my children. You're supposed to sit on my lap. But while sitting on my lap, you're passing stool and urine on me. And if you do it, I will still love you. But it gives me pain when you do that. So please keep Prabhupada's family united. It's a worldwide organization. It's a very big society. Let's keep it united. There are devotees of all sorts and types in this international society for Krishna consciousness. Let there be unity in diversity. Let us be united. So we have to be very careful. Then Chaitanya Chandra Das writes, in 1990, when Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj went to Australia for preaching, many devotees started following him. Because of that, some of the managers complained that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj is taking away our devotees who are serving our temple. When he heard their complaints, Srila Gurudev immediately asked me to arrange for us to go back to Bhuvaneshwar and not continue in Australia. Our god brother Dīnamadhu Prabhu had the tickets changed so we could leave Australia earlier than planned. In the days before we left, Srila Gurudev stopped giving any classes. Hare Krishna. Stopped giving any classes. He stayed in Dīnbandhu Prabhu's house and met with any devotees who had questions for him. Now see what happens. The next year, so in 1990, Srila Gour Govind Maharaj was banned in Australia. The next year, 1991, again some of the devotees in Australia invited Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Maharaj to come. But at that time, Maharaj declined. So he was banned. Then in 1992, there were some talks with the Australian leaders and the GBC. And some arrangement was made so that Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Maharaj could visit again. After that, there was no problem. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj visited Australia in 1993, 1994 and 1995. 1996, Maharaj entered Nitya Leela. Then Anuradha Mataji also says, due to all these controversies, Srila Gour Govind Maharaj was banned for 1 year to come to Australia. Overzealous devotees who were traveling with him said some things in their innocent or ignorant enthusiasm which had given Maharaj a bad name. So this is very, very important. And then what happened for Anuradha Mataji? Even though I had been a devotee for 12 years, because of this controversy in Australia, the Australian authorities would not give me the recommendation letter for initiation from Srila Gour Govind Maharaj. I was devastated, she writes. So all these things happen. So what is the lesson we learn from here? That we should not do Guru groupism. We should be very careful with our speech, like Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Anudvega karam vakyam, satyam priya hitam chaya, swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. That our speech should not agitate the minds of others. We should speak truthfully and we should speak in a pleasing way, priya. And we should speak things that will benefit others, hitam. Otherwise, swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa. Just keep chanting Hare Krishna. Just keep chanting the verses of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then, Nityanand Trayodashi in 1991, what happened? The auspicious day of Shri Nityananda Trayodashi, January 28th, 1991, saw the opening of the Shri Shri Krishna Balram Mandir in Bhuvaneshwar. 1991, Nityananda Trayodashi. Srila Gour Govinda Swāmī Maharaj invited many senior ISKCON devotees and VIPs for the event. These included Mahārāj Dibya Singh Dev, the king of Puri, and Shri Chabbi Kanungo, who had donated the property to Srila Prabhupada. Śrīla Bhakti Vidyapurna Swāmī Mahārāj and his team of students from Mayapur performed the ceremonies, while Srila Jayapataka Swāmī Mahārāj and other sannyasis performed abhishek of the deities. Per Srila Prabhupada's instructions, deities of Shri Shri Gour Nityananda and Shri Shri Krishna Balaram were installed. Srila Prabhupada had ordered that the deities be made from brass by local Odishan craftsmen. The event marked 14 years of intense endeavor by Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj, since Srila Prabhupada had installed the cornerstone on the same day of Nityananda Triyodashi in 1977. So these things take time. 1977, Nityananda Triyodashi, Srila Prabhupada came to Bhubaneswar, did the cornerstone laying ceremony for the Krishna Balaram Mandir. It took 14 years of intense devotion and hard work to actually make the big, huge temple. Then Bhaktivedanta Ashram Swāmī Mahārāj writes, after the installation ceremony, I was walking past Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj's hut. He was seated there surrounded by a number of devotees. I sat down and listened for a while. He was speaking about Guru Tattva, and I asked him that if one had been initiated 2 times, was there a need to be initiated a 3rd time? So Govinda Bhakata Das, later on became Bhaktivedanta Ashram Swāmī Mahārāj, asked that I was initiated by 2 gurus in ISKCON. Both the gurus fell down. So now what to do? 3rd time also should I take reinitiation now? Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj replied that definitely one needed to be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. Because if a guru falls, then he is not guru, na? Because guru never falls. A guru can never have a spiritual fall down. A guru is a pure devotee. So if one's Gurudev has fallen down, then that was not Gurudev. That was a Kanishta Adhikari who had taken the role of a guru and in due course of time fell down. So therefore now we have to find a qualified, bona fide spiritual master, because we were never initiated. That guru was not guru. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said that definitely one needed to be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. I then stated that Srila Prabhupada was such a powerful acharya, he could fill whatever gap was there. I have also heard this from devotees whose gurus have fallen down. They say, now we'll just take shelter of Prabhupada. We don't need a living guru. So similarly, this Govinda Bhakata Das, he told Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj that Srila Prabhupada was such a powerful acharya, he could fill whatever gap was there. Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Maharaj immediately rebuked me by telling me that I was living in a fantasy. Srila Gaur Govinda Swāmī Maharaj said that I should stop trying to clutch at flowers in the sky. He went on, was not Srila Jiva Goswami a powerful acharya? Then why not take initiation from Srila Jiva Goswami? My false ego crushed. I crawled out of the compound. That encounter took me years to recover from. After having 2 spiritual masters fall down, I decided that it was time to learn more about Guru Tattva. I began studying Srila Prabhupada's books deeply on the matter and inquiring extensively from senior devotees. Finally, I came to the conclusion that to go back home, back to Godhead, I needed a bona fide spiritual master. But I had also come to the conclusion that I would not take initiation unless I felt absolutely sure in my heart that the Guru was a Mahabhagavad pure devotee. Even if it meant not going back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. I am willing to wait for a few more lifetimes, but I will find and search out a bona fide Guru. I will not take initiation from someone who is not a pure devotee. I had seen many of my peers who had taken initiation, but who had serious doubts about their spiritual master's position. Yes, there were many devotees who took initiation from a particular spiritual master in ISKCON, but then they were not convinced that their spiritual master was a pure devotee. I have also had devotees tell me like this, senior devotees. They are at senior position. And they have told me that, Prabhuji, I feel I'm a disciple of such and such Guru. I think my Guru is not a pure devotee. What should I do? So this is not healthy for spiritual life. These things we have to see before getting initiated. So, and one of them actually was a pujari in one of the ISKCON temples. And he was so disturbed because he had so many doubts about his Gurudev that he left his service and he went to Vrindavan to find a pure devotee Guru. I don't know what happened after that. So I had seen many of my peers who had taken initiation but who had serious doubts about their Guru. At that time, none of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada that I had met inspired me enough to take complete shelter of them. I even went out of ISKCON. I went to the Gaudiya Math. I heard from devotees in the Gaudiya Math. I read some of their books. But again, I did not feel satisfied. I could perceive that they were advanced devotees. Yes, they were advanced devotees. And that they had great respect for our Srila Prabhupada. Our Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Mahārāj Prabhupada. They had respect for our Prabhupada. But because they were not Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they did not seem to have an absolute appreciation for Srila Prabhupada's preaching tactics. This is there, my dear friends. So there are devotees in Gaudiya Math who have respect for Srila Prabhupada, our Prabhupada. We are all family of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. No doubt about it. And we love and respect each other. But there is a special affinity within ISKCON. This is our family. The whole thing is a family. Whole Saraswat Parivar is our family. No doubt about it. All the Gaudiya Maths, ISKCON, we are one big family. Descendants of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But within this family tree, ISKCON is a branch. And within ISKCON, we have a special bond and affinity. And it should be like that. Because we have absolute appreciation for Shri Srimad, Nitya Lila Pravishtha, Om Vishnupad, Paramhamsa, Parivrajaka Shri Srimad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Mahārāj Srila Prabhupada. This is a fact. We respect all the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada and their disciples and their disciples. Yes. But our spiritual grandfather is Srila Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. And we are in that family line. And this we will never leave. We are proud of Srila Prabhupada. And we have full faith that even though Srila Prabhupada might have preached in areas where people did not know Vedic culture, they were previously Mlechas, lower than Shudra family background. But Srila Prabhupada is such a Chintamani stone, such a Kalpavriksha tree, Vancha Kalpatarubhascha, such an ocean of mercy, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, that he preached in the countries of the Mlechas and made pure devotees there. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. I will only name disciples of Srila Prabhupada who have left this world. Tell me which Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swāmī Mahārāj, Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Mahārāj, they are less than which Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya? Kahan kam ye batao? So this is our pride. That Srila Prabhupada made pure devotees like Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Mahārāj, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swāmī Mahārāj, and many, many others. And they have gone back to Godhead. And their disciples, like Srila Bhakti Dhir Damodar Mahārāj, they are continuing the legacy. And our ISKCON will continue to flourish. We have to be careful. We have to not leave the path of dharma. not break the 4 regulative principles. We have to chant maximum, develop Vaishnava Sadachar, go deep in the study of Srila Prabhupada's books. I read books outside ISKCON. All of you know that. So many times I have shown you Prem Vivarta of Srila Jagadananda Pandit. It is translated by a very dear god brother of Srila Prabhupada's. His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Mahārāj. Yes. Because we don't have that book, Prem Vivarta, with all the Bengali verses. So we read and we appreciate and we learn from Srila Prabhupada's dear disciples and their books. His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Mahārāj, his book, Shri Guru. Such a wonderful book. I have it right here about Guru Tattva. So we read books, but these are reference books. Our main ahar, our main diet is Srila Prabhupada's books. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Rasamrita, Sindhu Upadeshamrita. Bas. This constitutes 90% or more of our reading. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Bhagavat also. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given us with commentary. So Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, even original Sanskrit verses with the commentary of Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has been given to us by Srila Prabhupada's disciple, our Guru Varga, our Gurujan, His Holiness Bhanu Swāmī Mahārāj. So everything is there within ISKCON. Nothing is lacking. But we use reference books. But more than 90% of our reading is Srila Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada's lectures, Srila Prabhupada's letters, conversations, memories of Srila Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada's loving disciples. This is our family. This is our diet. And for specific now, Ekadashi Mahatmya, what Mahaprabhu says about Ekadashi, Prem Vivarta. Yes, I read Srila, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj's Jaiva Dharma. I have found that book very wonderful, very useful for my philosophical understanding. So yes, we refer to those books, but 90% or more of our reading is Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit. And books like this, when good fortune arises. When we hear or read about the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, like Srila Govinda Swāmī Mahārāj. Our family business book by Srila Vaisheshika Mahārāj, our Gurujan. The Black Pearl about Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swāmī Mahārāj. TKG Diary by Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Mahārāj. The book about Her Grace Ladini Mataji. These books are so wonderful and they constitute majority of our reading. So this devotee, he went outside ISKCON and he associated with other gurus in Gaudiya Math who had respect for Srila Prabhupada. But there is a difference. See this, how subtle this is. I could perceive that they were advanced devotees and that they had great respect for Srila Prabhupada. But because they were not Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they did not seem to have an absolute appreciation for Srila Prabhupada's preaching tactics. This is there, my dear friends. We should have absolute respect for Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's preaching tactics. Because we may go here and there, and if we hear one sentence where Prabhupada's position is minimized, it will break our heart and it will disturb our faith. We don't want that. Faith is everything in spiritual life. Better we don't read any books outside ISKCON. There will be no loss. Ladini Mataji went back to Godhead. She never read, never met, never associated with any sadhu except Srila Prabhupada. She's completely Prabhupada's daughter, purebred Prabhupada's daughter. Went back to Krishna. So there is no need. There is no need to go anywhere. But even if for specific knowledge we have to go, now Srila Bhanu Swāmī Mahārāj also translated Srila Jiva Goswami's Shat Sandarbhas with all the original Sanskrit and everything is translated. Ujjwal Nilamani is there, Gopal Champu is there, completely translated. Anand Vrindavan Champu is there. So really now in ISKCON, everything is there. I think they are, His Holiness Devamrit Swami Maharaj was telling me, they are even working on getting Jaiva Dharma, publishing Jaiva Dharma in ISKCON. So slowly, everything will be there. But I really like Śrīla Narayana Maharaj's Jaiva Dharma very much. How he has translated it so nicely. So like that. So everything is there in our family. And even if we have to take some specific knowledge, we should choose those acharyas who have a lot of respect for Srila Prabhupada. Śrīla Narayana Maharaj, for example, he has written a book. I read that book, very beautiful book. Srila Prabhupada, my Shiksha Guru and my Priya Bandhu. Śrīla Narayana Maharaj writes, Srila Prabhupada, my Shiksha Guru and my Priya Bandhu. He is my Shiksha Guru and he's also my very dear friend. And we can see on Vedabase, so many letters Prabhupada wrote, so many letters Śrīla Narayana Maharaj wrote. 400 letters. How many? 400 letters Srila Prabhupada wrote to Śrīla Narayana Maharaj. So wonderful. It's very beautiful. Truth is stranger than fiction many times. There are devotees in ISKCON who are disciples of Śrīla Narayana Maharaj, and they are doing a lot of service in ISKCON, but nobody knows that they are Śrīla Narayana Maharaj disciples. Because they are afraid how people will perceive them, whether they will be accepted or not. But they love Srila Prabhupada. They want to do service for Srila Prabhupada. This is very, very amazing, very beautiful. And when I speak to them, they say that Śrīla Narayana Maharaj, Śrīla Gurudev told us that you serve Swāmī Mahārāj's mission. Hare Krishna. Vaishnavira Kriya Mudra Bhigyana Bhujaya. So, Govinda Bhakata Das, he was uneasy with that. This left me a bit uneasy because all of my devotional life, I had nurtured an absolute acceptance of everything that Srila Prabhupada said or did. I started to pray to the Kalpavriksha trees of Vrindavan. Aha! This devotee started praying to the Kalpavriksha trees of Vrindavan. And I started praying to Srila Prabhupada to send me a Mahabhagavad Guru who was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. In my heart, I knew that my desire would be fulfilled in Bhuvaneshwar. After arriving in Bhuvaneshwar, as soon as I heard Srila Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj's class, I was convinced that my prayers were answered and that he was my Guru. Still, I had a few doubts. Astonishingly, the very next morning, Srila Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj gave a class wherein he spoke about the mood of a disciple. In that lecture, point by point, Srila Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj eradicated all the doubts that I had. I was shocked, I was stunned, I was mesmerized. I felt that I had no other recourse but to surrender. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here and we'll continue reading about the life, the glorious life of this son, Suputra of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj. We are so proud of Maharaj. We are so I visited one Gaudiya Math temple once, and on the altar they had the Guru Parampara. So they had Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, of course Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashaya, Vairagya Chudamani, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, their Guru Maharaj, disciple of Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Then they had our Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvind, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And they had a photo of Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj. I asked how. So they said, oh yeah, our Gurudev told us that you should hear the classes of Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj, Srila Swāmī Maharaj, and you should read their books, Prabhupada's books and Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj's books. So they are our Guru Varga. I love this, my dear friends. When I see this type of harmony, respect, appreciation in the family of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all the branches, I feel very happy. I feel we are one big united family. Because Krishna consciousness, Krishna bhakti is so rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidati siddhe. And then within such a same family, where we are all one family, how painful it is when we fight. And we are divisive. We don't accept them. It's so painful to the heart. So, even among the greater human community, there should be unity. Once Srila Prabhupada disciple had come to Radha Gopinath Mandir and gave a Sunday feast lecture. So my Guru Mahārāj, Srila Radhanath Swāmī Mahārāj, invited him to stay in the temple. Grahastha devotee, husband, wife, Prabhupada disciples. And Mahārāj said, we will make arrangement for you. Even though we have Brahmacharya ashram, we will make a separate room for both of you. Stay in the temple. They are senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So they were living in Radha Gopinath temple, and across the street from Radha Gopinath Mandir in Mumbai, what do we have? We have the Chowpatty, the Girgaon Chowpatty beach. It's a beach. So every morning after the Bhagavatam class, they would take breakfast prasad. And after breakfast prasad, they would go on the beach for a walk. This husband and wife, Prabhupada disciples. Okay. So Sunday morning, Mahārāj gave a Bhagavatam class. We had prasad, and then they went for a morning walk on the Girgaon Chowpatty beach. And then in the afternoon, they were supposed to give the Sunday feast lecture. So now Prabhuji and Mataji are sitting on the Vyasasana, they are giving Sunday feast lecture. And in the lecture, they said that today after the Bhagavatam class, we went to the beach for a walk. Prabhuji is saying, me and my wife, we went to the beach for a walk. And Mataji is wearing sari, tilak, I am wearing dhoti, kurta, tilak. We both had our bead bags in our hands. We were chanting Hare Krishna Japa, and we were taking a walk on the beach. Now, this is Mumbai. There is a huge Muslim population. And especially near Radha Gopinath Mandir, little short distance away is Bhaikala and Muhammad Ali Road and all those areas. So a lot of Muslims live there. We call it Chota Pakistan. I spent 5.5 years there in Chota Pakistan. I went to JJ Hospital, Grant Medical College. It's in Bhaikala. So many Muslims, they come to the Girgaon Chowpatty beach for a walk. And in the evening also to play. So all the Hindu Muslims all are there. So this Prabhupada disciple, and they are Americans. This Prabhupada disciple couple, they are white-bodied, American. They were visiting India. So they're taking a walk on the beach. And they said we were walking, and in the opposite direction, we saw another couple walking towards us. They were also a little elderly, and they were Muslim. They were Muslim. They were wearing typical, the husband was wearing typical Pathani clothes, how Muslims wear. I think it's called chudidar kurta type, something like that. And the wife also was wearing hijab, and they were walking. And he said, I could see the husband, he had that dark spot on the forehead because of reading namaz 5 times a day and bowing down. So definitely a faithful Muslim couple. And Mataji was in hijab, so definitely conservative Muslims. So they were walking like this, and this Prabhupada disciple couple, they are walking like this. And they crossed each other. So both the husbands are looking at each other. So the Prabhupada disciple looked at the Muslim man and said, Salam alaikum. So the Prabhupada disciple, he looked at the Muslim man and said, Salam alaikum. And the Muslim couple stopped. They looked at this Prabhupada disciple couple. And the Muslim man folded his hand and said, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So this is real Vaishnavism. This is real Vaishnavism. Vaishnavara gunagrahi na dekhaye dosh. Kayaman vakya kare Vaishnava santosh. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. So, Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for wonderful session.
I hope I didn't say too many controversial things. I hope not. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, Prabhu? Is that okay?
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. So regarding the spiritual master who fell down at that time. So I heard from other seniors that they always refer to this verse that Apijit Suduracharo. bhajate mam ananya bhak. Right. So even if a spiritual master falls down, that it's the duty of a disciple to have him come back with the same respect as it was before. Help spiritual master to come back. So is that, can you put more thoughts on it, Prabhu? How can we
Yes.
do that, or how one can achieve that?
This is a very nice point you have brought up, Prabhuji. Apiche suduracharo, that is indisputable fact. Every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So yes, it is very true that sometimes bhajate mam ananya bhak, one who is a one-pointed devotee of Krishna, may also be temporarily overcome by Maya, and some mistake may happen. And Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Very soon he will come back. And sadhu reva samantavya. We should always consider that person to be a sadhu. Very beautiful. This Siddhanta is very beautiful. Apiched suduracharo. Ekdam sudurachar kiya hai. Matlab committed not an abominable activity, a very, very abominable activity. But that devotee who has committed the abominable activity is bhajate mam ananya bhak. He is a ananya bhakta of Krishna. He is a one-pointed devotee of Krishna. He is chanting Hare Krishna and fell down. So common. I know so many examples of very great advanced devotees who have had difficulty and actually committed abominable activity. Apichetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. But Krishna tells us, sadhu reva samantavya. You consider that person a sadhu. Don't think that he is a sadhu. He is a sadhu. Sadhu reva, Krishna is saying, sadhu reva samantavya. Samyak avachito. Because he is on the right path. Even though he has taken a detour, he has committed an abominable activity. But because he is chanting Hare Krishna, because he is on the path of devotional service, even though he has weaknesses, he is making mistakes, he has committed abominable activity, still consider him sadhu, because Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Very soon, Shipram bhavati dharmatma. He will become a dharmatma. He will become a righteous person. He will become a pure devotee. Yes. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Soon he will become a pure devotee. And Shashvat Shantim Nigachati. And he will attain complete shelter at Krishna's feet completely. He will become peaceful and satisfied. Shipram bhavati dharmatma, Shashvat Shantim Nigachati, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee will not perish. So it is true, we consider that person a sadhu, but the point that I made was, Guru cannot fall down. So we can consider that devotee who had difficulty, who deviated, who, let's say, broke the regulative principles or whatever might have happened, to be a sadhu. But as far as Guru is concerned, it's not Guru anymore. So therefore we need a Guru. Guru is someone who is a pure devotee. A pure devotee doesn't fall down. So there are so many bona fide gurus in ISKCON, and we should take re-initiation from a bona fide guru. At the same time, consider our previous guru to be a sadhu, and we should try our best, if it is within our capacity, to facilitate him coming back on the right path. If we can, we should try. But the ones that we discussed in today's reading, that refers to certain devotees who had major difficulties and they left. They were not ananya bhak. They were not on the path of bhakti anymore. They left the movement altogether. But being in the movement, there's an accidental fall down, accidental mistake. Yes, material energy can overwhelm, and that person is a sadhu and very soon will become a pure devotee. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. But while that Shipram bhavati dharmatma happens, we need to find a dharmatma and surrender. We need a guru. So sadhu, yes, that person is sadhu, but not a guru. We need another guru. We have to take re-initiation from a pure devotee. Someone who will never fall down. Acharya. Am I making it clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. One see the same context, so say the guru has fallen down, but we go to another spiritual master, and if we help this spiritual master to come back, so can we come back again to this spiritual master, or how is it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, because it's an accidental fall down, isn't it? It's a temporary mistake, temporary fall down. It can happen. Even Bharat Mahārāj had difficulty. Actually, many of you will be shocked. This may come as a shocker to many of you, but I have read this. Śrīla Bilvamangalacharya, Śrīla Bilvamangal Thakur wrote Govinda Damodar Stotra before his fall down. Hare Krishna. So the person who wrote Govinda Damodar Stotra got attracted to that Brahmana's wife who was filling water at the well and followed her home to enjoy with her, and had the audacity to tell her husband, "Can I spend time with your wife alone?" He was already Leela Shuk at that time. His guru, Somagiri, appreciated Govinda Damodar Stotra so much, he gave him the title Leela Shuk. And this Leela Shuk took permission from his guru, Somagiri, and was going to Vrindavan. On the way to Vrindavan, the author of Govinda Damodar Stotra fell down. Bilvamangal Thakur. He was on the platform of Bhav, got attracted to one lady. So, but then what happened when he was alone in the bedroom with that woman? Suddenly, Tesham, what is that verse?
Satata Yukta.
Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhayatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayantite. Tesham Aham Samudharta. No, not that. What is the next verse in Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita?
Tesham evanukampartham.
Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnana jamtama nashyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvat. That's what happened. So he was overcome by Ajnan and got attracted. But then what happened? As he was approaching her and the husband gave permission, the wife was ready to comply. And as the whole thing was going to unfold, immediately he realized, what is this? I am a sannyasi. I'm a sannyasi. I'm going to Vrindavan to be a Babaji. And what am I doing? This is the most sudurachar. This is the most abominable activity. Tesham evanu kampartham. Out of the anukampa of Krishna. Tesham evanu kampa. Anukampa means mercy. Tesham evanu kampartham aham ajnana jam tama nashyami. Krishna destroys the ignorance in the heart. In that dark moment in the life of Bilvamangal Thakur, when he was about to have the greatest fall down, Krishna in the heart as Chaitya Guru. Tesham evanu kampartham aham ajnana jam tama nashyami. Atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. Illuminated his heart with the lamp of real knowledge. Krishna did as Chaitya Guru. Therefore, Śrīla Bilvamangalacharya writes in the first verse of Krishna Karnamrut, which he wrote later on in Vrindavan. Chintamanir jayati somagirir gurur me shiksha guruscha bhagavan shikipicha mavale. My shiksha guru is Krishna. Krishna gave him knowledge. What are you doing, rascal? She's your mother. He said, oh mother, give me your hairpins. Took 2 hairpins and gouged out his eyes. These eyes are my enemies. These eyes are coming between me and Krishna. Now no more disturbance. Just gouged out his eyes, gave the pins back to the wife. Mother, I take your leave. Just walked out. Finished. Now no more attachment. So, yes, because this happened, do we reject Govinda Damodar Stotra? No, we accept it. Even though after writing this, he had difficulty. No, we accept it. We very much accept it. It was an accidental fall down, but Shipra Bhagat Dharmatma happened. He became Bilvamangalacharya again, went to Vrindavan and then never had a fall down. He got a Chinmay Sharir, a spiritual body in Vrindavan. He stayed at Brahmakund for 700 years. 700 years. Which human being lives 700 years? He became pure devotee. And then Sadeha, he went back to Godhead, went back to Golok Vrindavan. So we accept Govindamada Stotra, even though the author had a difficulty after that. So yes, if there is accidental fall down, there is, but the Guru comes back to the proper path of Srila Prabhupada, of Raganuga Bhakti, Rupanuga Bhakti, then yes, we can again go, we can again associate and even serve, because he's a sadhu, there was a mistake. But all I'm saying is, in ISKCON disciple course, we were taught that if the Guru has a fall down, then we have to maintain our faith in Srila Prabhupada, and we have to take re-initiation from a bona fide spiritual master. Because Guru is one who is unblemished. Sadhu, yes, sadhu can have difficulty, comes back to the right path, and that's okay. That's very good, glorious. And we respect, we serve that sadhu. And but as far as Guru is concerned, we need to find a Guru who is unblemished. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, dear devotees. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.